Yes, my friends, things are getting heated behind the scenes at the Eagles. Buckle up because we have a lot of trade buzz going around the team. The board led by Howie Roseman is once again at the center of some big rumors. This time, we're talking about 3 names that could shake up the roster. I'll tell you all the details, but first make sure you've already hit the like button if you're a true Eagles fan. There are people here who have been fans for over 30 years. It's great to see you here. If you trust Howie's strategies and believe he'll make the best decisions for the team, comment like this. Go Howie! Go Eagles! Let's fly higher. Now I want to start talking about some possible changes to the team, starting with these 3 players: Kyle Pitts, Dallas Goedert, and Bryce Huff. Could it be that the Eagles are looking to make a big move to remodel their offense and defense? Let's break it down. First, Kyle Pitts. The former 4th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft is a name that has been floating around Eagles circles for a while. The local connection is undeniable. Pitts grew up in the Philadelphia area, attended Archbishop Wood High School, and has the kind of elite athletic profile that Howie Roseman loves to bet on. But here's the real question. Should the Eagles trade him? If you go back to his college days at Florida, Pitts was considered one of the best tight end prospects in recent memory. A 6'6", 245-pound running nightmare who could run the 40-yard dash in 4.44, he had scouts drooling over his potential. Atlanta took him with the 4th overall pick, expecting him to be a cornerstone of their offense. And his rookie season? He looked like a future superstar. 68 catches, over 1,000 yards, averaging 15 yards per catch. But then things started to go wrong. Injuries, poor quarterback play, and inconsistent usage have stunted his development. Year 2 saw him play just 10 games. Year 3, 53 catches, 667 yards, and only 3 touchdowns. And this past season, just 47 catches, 602 yards, 4 touchdowns. The flashes of brilliance are still there, but the Falcons haven't figured out how to unlock him. So could Philly be the perfect landing spot for him? Think about what this offense already has. A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith on the outside, Saquon Barkley in the backfield, and Jalen Hurts running the show. If you add Pitts into the mix as a tight end wide receiver hybrid, suddenly you have one of the most dangerous arsenals in the league. And here's the kicker. His 2025 cap hit is just $10.8 million, which is actually less than Dallas Goedert's. If Pitts reaches his ceiling in Philadelphia, it could be an absolute steal of a move. But if he doesn't, you let him walk after 2025. Low risk, high reward. Now that brings us to Dallas Goedert. This one might sting for some fans, but the reality is that the Eagles have reportedly been open to trade talks involving their longtime tight end. Goedert has been a phenomenal all-around player. He's a top-tier pass catcher, an excellent blocker, and ranks 2nd all-time in Eagles playoff receiving yards behind only DeVonta Smith. But there are a few issues to consider. For one, he's entering the final year of his deal. And while he has a $12 million cap hit for 2025, none of it is guaranteed. That means the Eagles could move on from him without taking a financial hit, and Goedert's camp likely wants an extension. Considering he's already one of the highest-paid tight ends in the league, the Eagles may not be willing to give him another big payday, especially with younger players like Jalen Carter and Cam Jurgens due for new deals soon. Injuries are another factor. While Goedert hasn't had any catastrophic injuries, he's been banged up frequently, missing key stretches of multiple seasons. With the Eagles needing to manage their cap space wisely, moving on from a 30-year-old tight end with an injury history could be a difficult but necessary business decision. And then there's Bryce Huff. When the Eagles signed Huff last offseason, expectations were sky high. He was coming off a 10-sack season with the Jets and was supposed to be a difference maker on the defensive line. The Eagles gave him a 3-year, $34 million deal with $17 million guaranteed, believing he'd be a core piece of their pass-rushing attack. But instead, it's been a frustrating ride. Under Vic Fangio, Huff struggled to find a consistent role. Unlike his time with the Jets, where he thrived as a pure pass rusher with his hand in the dirt, Fangio asked him to play more as a stand-up edge rusher, sometimes even dropping into coverage. That's not his strength. And after a disappointing season, he ended up as a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl, a brutal ending to his first year in Philly. So what happens now? Do the Eagles cut their losses and trade him? Or do they try to get him back on track in 2025? The team has already made moves at edge rusher, bringing in Azeez Ojulari and Josh Uche while also developing young talent like Nolan Smith. If Huff isn't a scheme fit for Fangio's defense, trading him for draft capital and financial relief might make the most sense. Ultimately, the Eagles' front office has some tough choices ahead. Should they roll the dice on Kyle Pitts and bet on his upside? Should they move on from Dallas Goedert before he walks for nothing? And what about Bryce Huff? Should they try to salvage the investment or cut bait now?
Let's hear from you, Eagles fans. Do you think the team should take a chance on Kyle Pitts? Is it time to part ways with Dallas Goedert? And what should they do with Bryce Huff? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And let's be honest, Eagles fans, Howie Roseman isn't afraid to make bold moves. We've seen it time and time again. Whether it was the A.J. Brown trade, the aggressive draft day moves, or the way he restructured the roster after the Super Bowl run, this front office is never complacent. That's why these rumors can't be ignored. There's a very real chance the Eagles are gearing up for another major roster shakeup. Let's circle back to Kyle Pitts for a second. If the Eagles were to pull the trigger on this trade, what would it actually take? The Falcons aren't just going to give him away, but at the same time, his value isn't what it used to be. A former top 5 pick with a high ceiling but inconsistent production? That's a tricky valuation. Maybe a second-round pick? A player swap? Howie has a history of making moves that favor Philly, and if there's a way to acquire Pitts without giving up a premium asset, it becomes an even more enticing idea. And then there's the fit. Imagine Pitts lined up as a big slot receiver, creating mismatches against linebackers and safeties. Imagine him stretching the field down the seam while defenses are already focused on A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, and Saquon Barkley. The potential is ridiculous. But there's also the other side of the argument. His blocking isn't on Goedert's level, and if the Eagles want to remain a run-heavy, physical team, that could be a concern. Would they be willing to sacrifice some blocking ability for more explosiveness? That's the question. Speaking of tough decisions, Dallas Goedert's situation is one that really puts the Eagles in a bind. Let's be clear, if the Eagles trade him, they aren't doing it because he's declining. He's still a top-tier tight end. This would be a purely financial and strategic decision. And if we know anything about Howie Roseman, it's that he's always thinking 2 steps ahead. Let's break it down logically. Goedert is 30 years old, has a $12 million cap hit in 2025, and has battled nagging injuries. The Eagles have a history of developing tight ends well, and they've already added blocking specialists in free agency. If they believe they can get similar production from a cheaper player, or if they truly believe Kyle Pitts can be that guy, it makes sense to move on now rather than lose him for nothing later. The bigger issue here is timing. If the Eagles want to trade Goedert, they have to do it at the right moment. If they move him too early and don't have a solid replacement, they risk weakening a key part of the offense. But if they wait too long and he suffers another injury, his trade value tanks. That's the chess game Howie is playing right now. And then there's Bryce Huff. His situation is frustrating because, on paper, he should be a great fit. But the reality is, Fangio's scheme hasn't done him any favors. If you're going to pay a guy $34 million, you want him to be a difference maker. Instead, he barely saw the field, and when he did, he wasn't utilized the way he was in New York. Could things change in 2025? Absolutely. Maybe Fangio tweaks his scheme. Maybe Huff gets more comfortable in his role. But if the Eagles can get something valuable in return, maybe a mid-round draft pick or even a player that fits better,